Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how I create the Granny Square Hexagon that I call Blossom. You can find the pattern and the chart to go along with this over on my blog post. I'll leave the link in the description below. So this design starts with a magic ring, so I'll walk you through this slowly. Lay your yarn over your palm so that the end of it is facing down and the working part is facing up, and secure it with your thumb. Then you're going to flip your palm over and you're going to wrap the yarn over the first two fingers. Leave the other two to the side, and you're just wrapping it over the first two fingers, back to the bottom, back around, and you're going to bring it, crossing it over to the left hand side of the previous wrap, and then you're going to wrap it around your third finger. So you're adding in the third finger. So the first wrap is two fingers, the second wrap to the left is going to be over three fingers, and then just leave your end hanging loosely at the bottom. Now insert your hook underneath the first strand and over top of the second strand and pull it through. So now we have this little loop here, and we're going to twist our hook, taking our palm to the baby finger side and then back towards your thumb of the wrapped hand, and it twists that loop on the hook. Then we're going to go back and hook it underneath from the left hand side to the right hand side of the second wrap strand that goes over your third finger, and then pull that through. Now it takes a little wiggling and you'll get used to this part, but you'll pull it through and it's securing your magic ring. Then you're going to slip your fingers out gently and you have your magic ring with its first stitch established, ready to go. If you need to see this in even slower motion, you can use YouTube settings and change the playback speed to 0.5. And we're ready to start round one. So we're going to start by placing our thumb right on that first stitch, and that's actually our chain one. So in round one, it says to start with chain one. That's what that is right there. And then we go ahead and we're going to work 6 single crochet into this ring. So we insert our hook, catch our yarn, pull it through, and then yarn over and pull through both loops. That's our single crochet. And we're going to go ahead and work 6 of these into this loop. And I'm leaving the loop large right now because it's much easier to work into, and I can cinch it up. I'll show you how to do that as soon as I have these 6 single crochet finished. So now this is the end we're going to pull to cinch up our magic ring, and see how the center disappears and all the stitches are neatly pulled together. This is our first stitch. That's where we're going to slip stitch into. Let's make sure we have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch, and that's where we're going to slip to join the end of our round. So yarn over, and you're going to pull it through that stitch and the loop on your hook, and you're finished round one. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut the yarn that I just used. I cut the yarn at the end of every one of my rounds. I just prefer the look. It leaves a lot of ends, but I prefer the way that it looks. So now I'm going to join my next yarn. I'm using white, and I'm going to do a slip stitch into the green that was on the hook, and then I'm going to pull that green nice and tight so it kind of disappears. So this is just one way to join. I switch it up, but we're going to try this one this time around. And we can go ahead and begin round 2, and we're going to start with a chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this 4 chain acts as our first double crochet and chain 1, and that was worked in our first stitch. And then we're going to go into our next stitch. So we have to go down here and look. I joined this a little differently than sometimes I do, but we'll see how this works. We want to go into this stitch, not the one that we technically just worked into. So this is the first stitch. We actually want to work into this one next. So working into our second stitch, we want to work a double crochet. So it's a little tight here with these single crochets, but go ahead and work into the second stitch. We want to work a double crochet, chain 1, and another double crochet into that same stitch, all into that second stitch. And then once we've completed that, we want to chain 1. And that has set up our repeat. We're going to do that repeat, the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and then another chain 1 4 more times around our circle. So we'll meet you back here after the repeat. So I finished the last repeat and I'm ready to do the last part of our round, which involves working one more double crochet, and I want to work it into the stitch that we joined in. So I did a different join here, so let's see how this works. I want to go into my first stitch. So I just want to make sure I've got 11. Yeah, so I'm working a 12th double crochet here, just so I'm counting my stitches. And I want to go into the first stitch that I worked in. So there looks like there's a stitch here to work into, which you could. Crochet is kind of one of those things that you can kind of play around with, which is kind of fun. But let's just see what happens when I work my double crochet, chain 1, and slip stitch into the third stitch of my starting chain. And there we go. So you can see here, I'll give that a little tug, but it actually kind of crossed those two over a bit. But that's okay. I love how crochet turns out. It's about being imperfect. So we're going to end this round by cutting our yarn and then pulling it through. And let's just take a quick look here. There is the end of round 2. Ready for round 3. Now on my chart, you'll see that I'm always joining in the same area of the motif, but I would suggest that you pick a different spot each time, and that way your ends aren't all hanging in the same section, so it doesn't bulk up your work in one area. So any one of these chain 1 spaces is where we're going to join, so just pick one, and we're going to pull our yarn through, so we're joining with a slip stitch. So moving on with round 3, the next thing we want to do is a beginning double crochet cluster. So we'll start that with a chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then we want to yarn over, insert our hook into the chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on the hook, and then we're going to repeat what we just did. Yarn over, insert hook into chain space, same chain space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and now complete it by yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. That's our beginning double crochet cluster. So that was all worked into that same chain 1 space, and now we chain 3, and then we move on to our next chain 1 space, and we're going to work a double crochet cluster into this chain 1 space. So a full double crochet cluster this time. So yarn over, insert hook into chain 1 space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Then we go again. We go yarn over, insert our hook into the same chain 1 space, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through 2 loops. And one more time, we have 3 loops on the hook. One more time, yarn over, insert into that same chain 1 space, yarn over. So I do this by pivoting my hands back and forth. I'm going to pull through that loop, keeping that tension even, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and then finally with these 4 loops on the hook, we yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on the hook, and that completes, have to give a little tug there. That completes, oh, see, I pulled too tight there, trying to keep the tension, and I dropped the whole yarn. So yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. Have to do it quickly. So there we have our full double crochet cluster, and then we chain 3. And now we're going to repeat exactly that double crochet cluster, chain 3, 10 more times. So we will have a total of 12 of these clusters around our motif. I'll meet you back here at the end of the repeat. So we have completed the last repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12 double crochet clusters and 12 chain 3 spaces. And we're going to finish this round by slip stitching into the top of our beginning double crochet cluster. So there it is right there. That stitch is the top. Follow it up right to the top, the big flat one on top. They each have one. So look for that stitch. We're going to insert the hook into that stitch. We're going to pull the yarn through and pull through the loop on the hook as well, and that finishes our round. So we will clip our yarn, and we can go ahead and just pull that yarn through. You can just yank that there and it finishes off your round, and we are finished round number 3. Now I'm going to join my yarn, which I'm going to use white, in any one of the chain 3 spaces. So any of these chain 3 spaces, and like I said before, I like to join them in different areas of the motif so that on the back here all my ends aren't flying out from one section only. It makes it easier and less bulky. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch join my white into one of these chain 3 spaces. And now we're ready to start round 4, and we begin with a chain 4. And this chain 4 is going to count as our first double crochet and chain 1 space. And then we move on to the next chain 3 space. So not the one that we joined in, but we're going to work into the next chain 3 space, and we're going to work 3 double crochet. So we go ahead and work our first double crochet, and then we work another one, and these are all separate double crochets we're working, not a cluster like last time. These are 3 separate double crochets. So we complete our 3rd double crochet, and then we're going to chain 1. And now we're going to work into the next chain 1 space, and we're going to work our hexagon corner. So it's going to be 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet, which is going to create a corner in our work. So 2 separate double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 more double crochets in the same space. So this is going to create a little bit of a corner. So the hexagons have 6 corners, so the corners they're not as sharp as in a square. So we go ahead and chain 1, and then we're going to repeat what we just did 4 more times. So repeat everything that we just did except for the starting chain, and I will meet you back here at the end of the 4 repeats. Okay, so we have finished our repeats and we're ready to work the end of our round. So we're going to go ahead and work 3 double crochet into the next chain 3 space, just like we did before. 3 separate double crochet. I'll go too fast here, I drop stitches. And then we want to chain 1. And then we're going to finish off our corner. So a little different here because we already have one of our double crochets as the starting chain. So we're going to work 2 double crochet into this starting chain 3 space, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to work 1 more double crochet instead of 2. So just 1 more double crochet, and then we are going to slip stitch in the 3rd chain of our starting chain. And we're going to pull the yarn all the way through. And there we go, we finished off our round. So we're going to clip our yarn, pull it through, and there you have it. We've finished round 4. So moving on to our next round, I'm going to join gray this time, and you're going to join in any of the corner chain 2 spaces. So see how we have them? There's like 6 of them here because it's a hexagon. And you can tell it's a corner because it has the 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into the same space. So that creates your corner, and you want to work into that chain 2 space of the corner, any one of those. So go ahead and join with a slip stitch by putting your hook through the space and pulling up a loop. So now we're ready to start round 5, and we're going to work a chain 3 to start with. And that counts as our first double crochet. And then we're going to go ahead and do in the next chain 1 space, we're going to work 3 double crochet. So in this chain 1 space, we're going to go ahead and work 3 separate double crochet. So we've got 1, we've got 2, and we have our third one. And then we're going to go into the next chain 1 space right here, and we're going to work another 3 double crochet. So there's no chaining in between these double crochet clusters like there was before. We just go right into the next chain 1 space and work another 3 separate double crochets. So basically we just did that twice. So now we've worked our way across to our next corner, which is a chain 2 space, and we're going to work just as we did in the round before. We're going to work 2 double crochet into that chain 2 space. There's our second one, and then we're going to chain 2 and then 2 more double crochet into that same corner space, that same chain 2 space. And again, we're going to repeat what we just did there, less the starting chain, 4 more times. So I'm going to go ahead and I will meet you at the end of the repeat. So here we are at the end of the repeat. We have done it 4 more times and we're ready to finish off our round number 5. So we're going to do 3 double crochet into the next chain 1 space as we have been doing, 3 separate double crochets. And then we're going to go ahead and do 3 more double crochet into the next chain 1 space. So we're basically finishing off the last side of our hexagon. So there's 3. And now we're going to work our last corner. So this is where we joined our yarn. So we're going to work 2 double crochet, and then we're going to work a chain 2. And then we're going to work 1 more double crochet because that starting chain acts as our second one. And then we slip stitch into the 3rd chain of that starting chain, pull the yarn all the way through the loop on the hook, and we are finished. So I can cut my yarn, pull it through, and we've completed round 5. So now we have our basic hexagon granny square. And the next 3 rounds, I'm going to show you how I do my single crochet borders to add a little flair to these squares. So we're looking for a corner again. So this chain 2 corner is the one I'm going to join my yarn in, and I'm working with green this time. So I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch in the corner, just pull the yarn through, and then go ahead and chain 1 and work a single crochet in that same chain 2 space. So now we're going to start working across our first side with single crochets, and we're going to work 1 single crochet into each stitch. So there's going to be 10 single crochets. So I'll meet you at the next corner. So now we've reached the next corner. I worked the 10 single crochet, but we actually have 11 because of that first one. And then we're going to work into this corner. So we've reached the chain 2 space corner. And what I want to do there is I want to single crochet, chain 2, and single crochet all into that corner space. And that completes the repeat. So we're going to go across and we're going to do that 4 more times. So I go across, 10 single crochet, work my corner, repeat it around 4 times. I'll meet you back at the end of the repeat. So now we've done our repeats. So we did our first section and repeated it 1, 2, 3, 4 more times, and now we're going to keep moving on here. The next thing we do is single crochet in each of the next 10 stitches across our last side. So go ahead and I'll meet you after the 10 single crochets. So this brings us to our final corner and the end of round 6. So you can see here we did the first one, repeated it 1, 2, 3, 4 more times, and then 10 single crochet across our last side brings us to our last corner, and we're going to single crochet in the same space that we joined in, and then we're going to chain 2, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. So just pull the yarn through and through the loop on the hook and cut our yarn, and we will pull that through, and we are finished round 6, and there you have it. And we're going to move on to round 7 now. So we're ready to join our yarn again, and on the chart you'll see it's all kind of in one line, but I want to show you here, now that we have quite a bit of this motif done, that I like to move around it to join. So you can see here on the back I have the yarn ends hanging off of different sections, so when I go to darn them in, I'm not darning them all in the same spot and creating a lot of bulk on the back. So it's really good to move yourself around when you join the yarns and join them in different places. So let's get started now with round 7. So we're going to join, I'm using white, and you're going to go into the chain 2 space in the corner of the previous round, slip stitch your yarn to join it, and then chain 1 and work a single crochet in the same chain 2 space that you joined. And now we're going to go ahead and work 12 single crochet across our side to the other corner. So make sure you work into that next single crochet to the corner and continue to work across 12 single crochet, and I'll meet you at the next corner. And now we are at the next corner. We worked our 12 single crochet plus that one at the very beginning, and now we're going to work into this chain 2 space. We're going to do a single crochet, chain 2, and then a single crochet. And now we're going to go ahead and repeat that 4 more times all the way around, and then you're going to finish off with 12 more single crochet on this last section. So I'll meet you back after the 4 repeats and the 12 single crochet. And here we are back. We've done our 4 repeats, and we've also done the 12 single crochet along the last side. And we're going to finish off the round in our last corner by working a single crochet into that same chain 2 space that we joined in. Don't get myself all tangled up back there. So single crochet, chain 2, and then you're going to slip stitch in your first single crochet and pull the yarn all the way through. And then, oops, I didn't get all the bars. Make sure you get all the bars when you're going under a stitch. There we go. And then I'm going to cut my yarn and pull it through, and we have completed round 7. And we are on to our last round, round number 8. So I'm ready to start with my green again, and I find a corner, chain 2. That's where we're going to join with a slip stitch. So just hook our yarn over and pull it through, chain 1, and then we're going to go ahead and work a single crochet in that same chain 2 space. So this end, a little trick here is that when I go to do my first single crochet, in order to lock that in, make sure it's over top of your hook, and then yarn over and bring it underneath, and then finish your single crochet, and that yarn kind of gets locked into that first stitch, so it's not kind of waggling out there and getting too loose on you. Now we're going to go ahead and work 14 single crochet across this side of our hexagon, and I'll meet you at the next corner. So here we are, we've worked 14 single crochet across plus that first one, that would be 15 total. And then we are at our next chain 2 corner space, so we're going to single crochet, and then we're going to go right ahead and single crochet again, no chaining in between this time. So 2 single crochet into that corner space, and then we're going to go ahead and work across the next side. So 14 single crochet, what we just did, and the corner, and we're going to repeat that 4 more times all the way around, and then our final 14 single crochet to the last corner, and I will meet you there. And here we are, we have worked our repeats, and we have also worked the 14 single crochet across the last side here, and we are back in our final corner to finish off our motif. So in that same chain 2 space that we joined in, we're going to work 1 more single crochet, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch in the top of the first single crochet that we started with, pull the yarn all the way through, chop off our back here, and then pull it through to finish it off. And there you have it. You are finished your Blossom Granny Square motif. Thanks for joining me in this tutorial, and remember you can find the written pattern and the full chart with the symbols over on my website. I'll leave the link in the description below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all my tutorials. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.